Hi Booktube and happy Tuesday. I was watching Booktube earlier this morning and I saw Kelly over at Books I'm Not Reading talk about a tag that is like a revised tag from, what was it, 2022. And this tag was created by Jim over at Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. And I will leave a link in the description below to the originator of the tag, and then I'll tag Kelly's channel as well. But this looks like lots of fun, like a mathy kind of reading tag, and this is the Booktube numbers tag. And I don't think I did this back in 2022, but I'm doing it now, and I feel like this is the kind of thing, like, since the revised edition, you can do it every year. But the first question is, what was your first Booktube video? And I had to look back, and I don't rewatch my videos. But when I looked back, it was an introduction and a Friday Reads video just about the books I was currently reading at the moment, just to dive fully into Booktube without, I just wanted to post like immediately as soon as I had the desire to start a channel. That way I wouldn't procrastinate and then it never happened. So I just I decided I was gonna do it, so I was like, okay, I'm doing it that very afternoon. So I was just talking about the books I was reading at the moment. Question number 2, how many books are you currently reading? So, and I have the pile to share with you. So the one ebook I'm currently reading is, and I've been reading for a while now, is A Century of Fiction in the New Yorker, 1925 to 2025, edited by Deborah Treisman. And I'm finally in, I think I'm in like 1966 or something at the moment. So slowly chipping away out of this. I started this kind of sort of for March of the Mammoths, because I had read my 2 mammoths, and so I didn't get on with them too well, so I wanted to get something I knew I would love, and so I started, I think, one of the very last days in March, and I knew it was going to take me a while, because I think it's like 1,000 pages, but I've been thoroughly enjoying getting to know all these different authors. A lot so far, luckily I have heard about, but it's also, they it was just one story from these different authors, and so some of them are really well known to me, and other ones by authors I do know. I haven't read those specific short stories, and then it's fun to get to know all these different authors I've never heard of before. So it's been a wonderful selection so far. So the question was how many. So that's 1. Let's see. Then I got 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm reading a total of 5 books. So I got the 1 ebook, and I do try and read the different formats. So I always have like a couple nightstand books on the go. So speaking of that, this is another mammoth I started right at the beginning of April, because I was in the mood of reading the mammoth books in March, so I just wanted to keep on with it. So this is the Bible. This is the King James version, the Barnes & Noble edition, with the really pretty cover, and with the gilt edges, sprayed edges, and then it has like the end papers, and then there's a bunch of illustrations. And they're all black and white, these like pencil drawings, but really interesting to study here. And I wish I knew who the artist was. I feel like I looked at this before the last time I showed this on a different video, but if I remember it doesn't, because it shows the cover illustration, but it doesn't show the Gary Croman did this, but who did the inside? I don't know why I can't find it. I'll have to like Google it at some point. So yeah, I'm this much in. I have quite a ways to go. I think I'm in Exodus chapter 23. So I got a ways to go. And then for an audiobook, I am listening to The Dragon Reborn by Robert Jordan, and I didn't bookmark where I am. I feel like I'm like 30% in. This is a reread for me. This is book 3 in the series, the Wheel of Time series, and I remember the first 3 I really liked. It was like a trilogy, and I think a lot of us think like Robert Jordan could have left it as a trilogy instead of being like, I think 14 books long and a prequel, so it's like 15 books. But yeah, I like the cover, and I always like the art style with like both the wraparound art. And then another book, kind of like the New Yorker collection. This is another one I'm like slowly making my way through. This is an essay collection. I just started it today, by Rick Bragg, My Southern Journey, True Stories from the Heart of the South. and he is a college professor in Alabama, I think Tuscaloosa, and he grew up there, and he left but came back and has been working there as an adult. This is the first book I've read from this author, I'm pretty sure, and I am on page 30, so I have a ways to go, and I have a little free library bookmark in there. And I'm the story called The Porch. That was originally in the Southern Living Journal. And so far, all the ones I read, all these essays, have all been from the Southern Journal. So Southern Living. So he must write for them a lot. So yeah. So it's basically a collection of all his like published works at the time, because a lot of them are taking place like 2010 to 2015, and this book came out in like 2018, I think. So it's just like, recollecting, 2018. So it's like just collecting his most recent magazine essays. And then the current book that I'm like, it's like my focus book of the day. I just started this earlier. This is Sweet 16 by Francesca Jeffries. With this like goofy cover. It says she's got one wish: to stay alive. And so far it's I am, where am I on this one? On page 71, chapter 8. So it has really big font, so I'm gonna be finishing this tonight. And this is I wanted to pick the black cat to go with the spooky book, and this is for Horror Mayhem. And so far it's following Leslie, who her family is like Eastern European, and the grandmother's best friend is a fortune teller, and on her 13th birthday, she gets her fortune told that something bad is going to happen before she turns 16. And right now we're a couple of days before she's turning 16, and she's just like getting things together for this like big birthday bash and trying to ignore what she learned when she was 13. There's no specifics at all, at least that we know about. So I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Something's going to happen soon, I feel like. I have to figure out what's causing her to look like that. Because then also you can see there's like skeleton hands holding the birthday cake. Okay, so yeah, long story short, those are the books I'm currently reading. Okay, question 3. What were the top 3 books you read last year? And I had to look through, I had to like scroll through all my Goodreads books from last year. And specific books didn't come to mind, but authors did. I read quite a few books from Beverly Cleary, Shirley Jackson, and then now I'm blanking what was the third one, because I looked this up like 30 minutes ago, and I am completely blanking. Gladys Taber. There you go. How can I forget Gladys? I was part of a reading event solely focused on Gladys last year. But for Beverly Cleary, I have been trying to complete her catalog of books, like read all of them. I don't know why that sentence came out weird. But I read several of her children's books, and then I also read, I think she had 3 or 4 young adult books, which I had never heard of before. I've read her biography and memoirs and all of that. I had no idea she wrote young adult. So I read those, and I found them very intriguing, because at least the first one in like the series, I think it's called like the Love series or something, or the 16 or 15, one of the books was called 15. But anyway, you can Google it and see the books listed there. I think there's 3 or 4 of them, but some of them didn't have like the commonplace happy ending that you would think. And so I really liked like the kind of twist on that, because she was writing young adult decades before the current young adult publishing that's currently, nothing like that at all. These are back. I feel like some of these are set in like the 50s, but not only were they set in the 50s, I feel like they were written, before the modern era for sure. So that was interesting, and so her book stood out to me. And then Gladys Taper, I read the books for her that stood out to me was Especially Father, which was a memoir in a way or like a biography of her father, but she's in the story as well. And that's another, like, kind of like the Beverly Cleary books, where the time that she's talking about with her father is like 100 years ago. So like how things are described, how the parents and her interact are completely different than what you would see in your family structure today. So and anything that old timey like that, I love reading about like what was life like 50, 100, 150 years ago, that kind of thing. So I mean, the father, although who's like, like this, the main focus of the book, he was not the most lovable of characters. He was very aggravating, to say the least, but still charming in his own way. And then with Shirley Jackson, she's been a favorite of mine for years and years now. And so I reread a biography of her, and I'm completely forgetting the author's name. But if you I think she won like the Pulitzer or something for that biography. So if you look up Shirley Jackson biography, you'll see that one, the one I'm thinking of. But I also reread her most famous books, We've Always Lived in the Castle and The Haunting of Hill House, along with I reread Raising Demons, which is about her time with her children, and that was, I think I read both. She wrote 2 books, Raising Demons and the other one I can't remember what the name of that one was. I'm just like talking off the top of my head here, but that was a lot of fun. So I read a biography. I read her memoirs of raising the children and her life, because I always find authors' lives fascinating. And then I reread several of her books, and I also finished, I think I finished her whole collection. Same with like Beverly Cleary. For authors I really like, I like to read everything. So I read, what was it, like The Car That Drove Through the Fence or The Hill. I should have wrote this down, but one of her first books that she published, I read that one last year as well. And so I thought it was really interesting to see like these different like topics and focuses that she had in that book, how that those were like, I feel like, constant influences and themes that she had throughout her writing career. Like you could see like the roots, you know, of that in that very first book. So that was interesting to learn about. The book itself was just okay. There's so many characters in that book. Anyway, so let's see. Question 4: how many books did you read last year? Okay, so I just had pulled that up. So last year, let's see. I have to check my Goodreads here. So last year, where is it at? I read 269 books. And I know that's a lot, but it was a slow reading year for me. Because I had, like, same as like this year, the beginning of this year, I've had so much going on with work. Last year, especially from like September, October on, was very busy. So I didn't get near enough reading time in that I would have liked. Okay, so number 5. How many books have you rated as 5 stars this year? And I don't rate my books with star ratings, so I have no idea how many books I would categorize as like memorable favorites. I don't know. I would have to like comb through it and figure that out. But yeah, I just don't rate my books that way. Number 6, do you have a reading target for this year, and are you on track? Okay, so let me pull up this year. So I set a goal for reading a book a day. So I have 365 books as my target, and I have finished 101 books. So Goodreads is telling me that I am 37 books behind schedule. So again, like I have read, even though last year I read 269, like I can't talk, my goodness. I've read close to 500 in years past. So 365 would be doable for me. It's not like out of the realms of possibility, but again, I'm having a rough year with work, so these things happen. I'm not gonna like put too much pressure on myself or read a bunch of like 50 or 100 page books to hit that target. I just would like the idea of reading a book a day. So we'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm 37 books behind schedule right now, but and Goodreads is annoying telling me that. I don't want to know. Like I don't pay attention to it really. Let's see. Number 7, how many pages long is the book you are reading now? So, okay, the book I'm primarily focused on today is Sweet 16, and it's a smaller book, 202 pages. And, okay, number 8, how long are your videos? So I had to like scroll through my most recent videos, and I feel like I either do like under 10 or it's like over 20 minutes, depending on what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna say an average of 15 minutes. Because it just depends on how chatty I am, or if it's like a vlog or what have you. I try to keep like a variety of videos. Number 9, do you have a favorite number? No, I don't. I immediately thought 7, but that's not right, because it's not my favorite number. It's just a number that popped in my head, so we can go with 7. And then number 10, last question. Do you have a book on your shelves with a number and the title or on the cover? Okay. I didn't see that question, so 1 second. I'm gonna have to scrounge around here and find one. Okay, I'm back. And as soon as I turned the camera off, I was like, wait a second. This one has numbers in the title, Sweet 16. But I was like, I need to talk about a different book because I haven't rambled on long enough. And so I have Two in the Far North by Margaret E. Murray. I went with this one just to mix things up a bit. But this is following Margaret and her life before she becomes an adult, and then it primarily focuses on her and her husband's relationship, the early like first couple of years when they're married, because he is a biologist and this is like the early days in Alaska, right when it's becoming a state, and so they are traipsing all over the place in the backwoods of beyond, studying these different animals. And so this was highly enjoyable. I really liked her writing, and I really liked her story of all the things she got to see during that time. So yeah, there's that one. And then as far as who I'm gonna tag, I feel like I'm just gonna go with my normal. Like if any of you find this interesting, please feel free to do the tag. But I will talk to you soon. Thanks, Booktube.